Welcome to Stars Podcast. Through self-defense, mixed martial arts, nutrition, family, and all things in between, we share our journey of how we hack our mind and body to get the maximum return out of each day. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy the journey. All right, guys, welcome to Stars Podcast. This is Ron Jordan.
Aaron Diaz. Hey, happy Juneteenth.
Juneteenth.
Yes.
We'll get into what.
Yeah.
And we have a guest coming to us via Zoom today. Honored to call her a friend, family member, and while she's on the podcast, CEO of OhanaLink Technologies. And this is Kara Wasser coming to us.
Hey.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So let's just jump right into what OhanaLink is. That way all the listeners understand what we're talking about as we move through this.
Yeah, so OhanaLink Technologies offers mobile healthcare communication options for communicating during healthcare scenarios. So our first mobile app is OhanaLink Baby, and we connect expectant parents with their Ohana or their family in a private mobile waiting room. So
Ohana, is that a what's the name from?
So a little backstory, we were previously Baby Arrival Monitor. So I launched Baby Arrival Monitor as a mobile app in January of this year. And I knew that I've known for a long time that I needed to change the name because we are reaching out to hospitals and physicians to co-brand our application, and they were often confused with it being Baby Arrival Monitor. So they were like, okay, so it's a monitor for after we have the baby and we're monitoring them in the nursery or what? So it was causing confusion in talking to our partners. So, and even prior to that, people were confused. Is it a monitor? On LinkedIn, I was getting like all these requests from like monitor distributors, and I'm like, that's not what I'm doing.
Yes.
So I knew for a while I needed.
Confusing.
Yeah, it was, but I mean, logically to me, it was like, well, first of all, bam. So it was like it was a cool, the baby comes and bam, but but then the more I thought about it, it was, and the baby does arrive, and we're monitoring the birth of the baby. So that was the logic behind it initially. So, anyways, OhanaLink Technologies, though, kind of blew up in that we know that this is bigger than just babies. So we are going into all healthcare scenarios now at this point. So
that's what
we knew we needed to create the brand.
Yeah, that's what I was curious about too, is, whenever you put a specific title in your name, it narrows the amount of audiences you can get into. Mm-hmm. With that. So if it just said Baby Arrival, it's only for babies then.
Right. Yeah. And so
is that a conversation you were having with your team?
Yeah. And we considered even keeping Baby Arrival Monitor under OhanaLink Technologies, but then it just became like OhanaLink Baby. Our next product is OhanaLink Health, which is the mobile waiting room for all healthcare scenarios. So surgery, hospice care.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a mobile waiting room, and you can add your family and friends, and then your family and friends can also reciprocate that, the support back to the patient. And especially, we weren't even going to be considered launching OhanaLink Health until the end of this year, but we've fast-tracked that because of COVID. So we're actually ready to launch that next month. I'm
sorry. So with like the pandemic, this is when like you were like, oh man, we got to ride this wave, ride it now. And because this, like, I'm blown away right now with your forward thinking of this whole thing. I think what a great idea, because we're so spread out. We're so spread out as a family. We got blended families. We have so many people that are really caring about, what's going on with you and everybody else. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so it's always been needed. The Baby Arrival Monitor, or OhanaLink Baby now, has always been needed because, like what you said, families are all over. They're blended families. I have a blended family on both sides in my own life, obviously, and with my parents are divorced as well, and so I have step parents and step siblings, and so and not a lot of people aren't sharing this kind of stuff on Facebook anymore, and Instagram's for photos. So where do you share the important information? And in our case, it was in a group text. And I don't know if you've ever been in a group text, but
Yeah,
they're awful, and
Whenever
trying
you're
to,
busy, they're the most awful.
yeah, the
It's like
most.
I had to figure out how to get my phone to not vibrate when on silent, because I'm like, I can't even have it on silent.
I know.
And it's
I
still
actually
bothering
just
me.
had to do that for my husband yesterday. He was
Yeah.
in this group text and he was, sorry guys if they're listening. I did mute you guys, but I taught him how to mute it because it does get so annoying.
It
So
drives me bonkers.
well, not, I mean, like the messenger groups too. Like everybody's like, oh, come join my group, and then you're getting all these random people that you don't even talk to, and then when you leave the group, you're like disbanded. You're just like, oh my gosh, you left the group. Why?
they
And
let everyone know too. When you leave that group, they're like, Ron left the group. And they're like, whoa.
You can't pull what do they call that? I can't remember what they call it. But
you can't ghost a group.
No, whenever you leave a party and you don't tell anybody. What's that called? I don't know.
What, dipping
it's
from the
thing.
party, Ron?
Yeah, something like that. Well, so you brought up a good point. It's your app, to me, just as an outsider looking in, is a kind of like a first class private, almost like a luxury brand for baby arrivals, and other medical whatever.
Well, it's funny that you're like struggling with the words there, because we actually sit here and talk about what is this thing and what do we call this, like this new, because it's not a social network per se. So actually we just came up with the word for it, and we think it's a secure social loop. So it's like the loop of your like closest family and friends, like I want to be in that loop, right?
SSL.
We were talking about the circle, like that circle that you have. Okay.
Yeah. So maybe we should be OhanaLink Technologies, but
it's always evolving.
It is, but yeah, so we've actually just sort of started to identify what this space is called, because it's like it's not a Facebook and it's not group texting by any means. It's a whole experience for the expectant mom. So
yeah,
and then for the other healthcare scenarios as well.
Before I jump into what is inside of the app, let's go the whole way back. Where does this idea come from? What happened that spurred the need for this in your head?
So my sister went into labor and they forgot to tell me. So I ended up missing the birth of my niece. And I was actually in Erie the day that she went into labor, and that's where she lives. And I had already left Erie to come home, and I'm about 10 minutes from my house. And I find out that she'd been in labor all day. And I was like, who doesn't tell me this stuff? I was at lunch with my mom and never knew.
Your mom didn't know either.
My mom knew.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was the thing, though. My mom thought my sister told me. My sister thought my mom told me. And nobody told me. So I was like, okay, there had to have been a way that we all could have been notified at the same time. So without getting too far into the details of what's in the app, now we have a notification that one press of a button and your loop is now notified of that labor started, so nobody gets left out. And so that was really what spurred the idea. That night I got home and was obviously still waiting for her to be born, and started looking for this app. I was like, there has to be an app for this. Why isn't there a mobile waiting room? So I started looking for it, and it wasn't there. So I sat on the idea for about 3 or 4 months, and it just sort of kept like nudging me. And I was at work, and this kid was like, hey, what's wrong with you? Something's bothering you. And I'm like, I have this idea. It's like making me crazy. I feel like I really need to go do something with it. And he was like, well, what is it? I'm like, I can't tell you because I'll have to kill you. And because it's that good that I would, I can't tell you. So I was like, but it's an app. And he was like, well, I had dinner with a friend last night who is looking for someone to make an app for, because she's in web development. And she was really like to, explore going mobile. And I was like, cool, give me your number. So I called her that day, And 2 days later, we were meeting in downtown Pittsburgh to go over the idea. So
opportunity, it was there, and you just like, that's it. Yo, you're not going anywhere.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
During that first meeting, what did you talk about? What was the initial idea?
I told her the idea. She's like, that's really great. And she said, I need you to go home and draw it out. Figure out what you want it to do. What features do you want in it? Talk to people, see what they would want in the app. So I did that. But from that meeting, it was like in May, I never went back to her until I think October. It took me that long to just really talk to my market, talk to other people that have gone through this, and figure out what I would want in the app and how it needed to function.
So that market research that you did, what did that look like to you? What was that process?
So, there's a lot of people that have ideas out there, and you can go to a friend and you can say, here's my idea, and they're like, oh, that's a good idea, right? But what I found validating in what I was doing was I would go, hey, Ron, here's my idea. And I found people inserting themselves into the scenario, so that was like the validation that I needed. Like they were saying, oh my gosh, my sister had a baby and she was in this city and I needed that, or I was and this is when the other health kind of stuff started coming in. Oh my gosh, I was just in a messenger group chat that was terrible and my sister was on hospice and I needed this app. And it was like I kept getting the validation from people that were inserting themselves into this scenario. So that's really what a lot of my market research looked like. I know there's many ways that you can go about it. I did market scans as well to make sure that there wasn't something out there that was already doing this, and to see that people are going to adopt it.
What is a market scan?
So it's just a report that polls like who's your audience, what are they using, how much are they paying for apps, what other apps are they using in pregnancy, is there competition, and so on. So I work with Ben Franklin Technology Partners as they were my initial investors, and they have access to all of this data and these scans and so on. So
do you get bombarded now with lists of potential leads, things like that? Do you get bombarded with that information, or is that outside of? I'm
leads
just
for
curious.
What do you mean leads for what?
Not so much leads, just like lists selling. No. I've had a recent like email surge in people trying to sell me lists of like email lists. It's been strange. I was just curious.
I know a buddy that does that. Yeah. He goes, he has a list of about, 6 figures of just teachers, and he manages that list, and he puts it out to like Dick's or book companies or anything that teachers would want to be involved in. And then when they'll send him a link, he'll blast it out to his people, and then he gets a percentage of each one. So it's a thing.
Whenever I was reading Buffer's book, and he talks about managing lists. Just as far as like a sales approach goes, but I digress.
Turns into the Ron show every now and then.
It usually does. It usually does.
Sales lists are my old life, Ron.
There's no me, and that's another connection that we have too. You want to talk about blended families? We have a unique relationship because we have the same stepson. And we're kind of navigating those waters. Has that story ever come up for you? Like whenever you're talking about relationships, does the blended family come up for you?
Oh, wow. Well, here we go.
All the time, and it's funny because I actually just, I have a friend that's going through a divorce now, and she had just posted on Facebook that almost like a declaration of, I don't care who knows it, but I'm friends with my ex-husband's girlfriend. She's great to my kids and so on. And I was like, congratulations, because like Alyssa is like what I consider one of my really good friends. I can text her anytime during the day. We all have a group chat together. And I don't see any other reason not to. I don't know.
No,
Yeah.
that's awesome. So I've been coming up with it. Like I've done this marriage thing a couple times. So I've come up through the initial where that wasn't the case. Like it was it was angry. It was just a division. Like you have to pick a side. Like I've lost friends over divorce, and no, you can't talk to that person, and no, you can't. And that's hard because you're not helping anyone as far as the children goes, and I know we don't want divorce to be easy, but if it has to happen because things just don't work, you still have to maintain some kind of level of decency for the children.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't always beautiful for us. I mean, and I think Alyssa would be all right with me saying that. We were young. All of us were young back then, and so we had our days of I don't want to see her dropping him off, and she doesn't want to see me when she's picking him up. We've had those days and those times, but as we all grew up and realized, Ron came along, we were like, we love Ron, and and like it just became like a unit, and I think we just all grew up and like let all that stuff go, and
But I think it's what assets we have as people, you know, in building those relationships, I think translates completely to the business world as well.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
whenever you have a clear vision and a clear goal, you can just like they say, leave your ego at the door. You
Yes.
really can whenever there is a complete buy-in by the team. So how does your team look now compared to when you started? Is it bigger? Is it smaller? And then also, what types of conversations are you having to keep your vision, I don't want to say your vision, but the team's vision at the forefront all the time?
Yeah. So, well, leadership's always been super important to me. And so whether it be through when I was in mortgage lending or now, and I do attribute that. I know you guys are martial artists, and, I'm a third-degree black belt. And so I really do attribute that to being brought into that leadership role at a very young age. And congrats to Brielle. She's amazing with her second-degree black belt.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Good job. She's awesome. And just, I got to tell you too, that is seriously the best thing my parents ever did for me. So I commend you, because I know that it's expensive, it's time consuming. But I swear that is what shaped me into the leader that I am now in this business. And my parents always made. I mean, I may remember days just crying on the way to Taekwondo because I went for like 4 hours at a time because I couldn't just go for one class. I went for all of them. And I was like, I'm so tired. And I remember my parents just being like, it'll pay off. It'll pay off. And my friends were out at the basketball games and doing this and that. So I believe that like instilling leadership into our kids at a young age really is what's going to, shape someone like I don't want to say like me, but has really shaped my brain into this leadership role that I have now. My team, I was myself until January of this year. And I knew that I had a product, I had Baby Arrival Monitor, and I knew I either needed to go to market or, I needed to go to market one way or another. But I knew that my product wasn't what I wanted it to be at that time. So I work in a co-working space here at the E-Center in Hermitage. And there was a guy that was sitting on the other side of the room. And I knew that he was in tech, but I didn't really know what he did. And I came walking in our office on January 6th, and he was like, hey, what's wrong? And I was like, I need to go to market, and I don't know what I'm doing. And he was like, well, let's talk. And then he says, how come you're not in the hospitals? And I was like, you're like the 5,000th person to ask me that same question. Okay, universe, I hear you now. And so fast forward, he works for me now. He's my CTO. And we
Nice.
have, yeah, and so we've just created this go-to-market strategy with co-branding opportunities for physicians and hospitals who actually need this opportunity, especially right now, because they need to rebuild trust. They need to attract a different market. The millennials are the new market for healthcare. And so offering them tools like this is going to they're going to see that, and they're going to say, oh, my hospital's offering me this really cool app, so they're really up with the times. And so I think it's a really great way for them to attract their market as well. So anyways, we've come up with this solution. And how do we stay focused? With this secure social loop, we could go in so many directions, but every day we come up with these ideas, and I say, but is this connecting patients to their loved ones? And is this reinforcing that connection that the loved ones need to support their patient? And so that is really what keeps us focused. I know that was a really long answer.
No. So that identifies your why, right?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, this is what I want to do with this SSL, right?
Right.
And I just branded your thing. That was pretty cool. So no, but this is what you want to do. And
Mm-hmm.
how does everything that we're putting together into this affect that?
Yeah.
Like, that's what we want. And that's what's keeping you going.
Right.
I'm pointing at you like in
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so that's what keeps us focused, is that mission. Are we connecting patients, and are the patients able to receive that reciprocation? So
it's there. And it's funny. I know we like jumped right into this, and that's just how our podcast goes. I mean, that's why it's called Straight Talk About Random Shit.
yeah.
So look, we went from blended family to creating a team. So how you worked as a blended family and all the stripes that you went through,
Mm-hmm.
you says, if I can do this in my personal life, I can do this in my professional life.
Mm-hmm.
So like the basis of Taekwondo, martial artists, into blended families. Now I'm controlling a team of people where we're going to have skirmishes, we're going to have issues, but we have one thing in mind. Like, you guys have one thing in mind, like the family is your big deal. With you, this product is your goal.
Yeah.
So like, how the choices that we have in life, the choices that we do, the everything is all intertwined, and that's what's making you, Kara. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's fun to look back and see like the stepping stones that led me here. I have a background in finance, and we're raising a round of private equity right now, and seeking other capital, and it's like all of that stuff has been super helpful in what I'm doing now for raising capital and running a business. But I also think a lot of it comes down to mindset and the way that you conduct yourself. And so Ron knows that I nurture that mindset daily through reading and just really realizing that the energy I put out is the energy I'm going to get back. And so I think that once you become aware of how that works, that law of attraction, you can seriously accomplish anything.
Yeah. What's a book or some sort of piece of anything for a self-development purpose do you recommend the most to people?
The first book that I recommend is The Secret. If you don't know The Secret, you don't know anything.
Yeah.
I don't know anything then.
You don't,
What?
Ron?
Oh, Ron, I got like two copies. I'll give you one.
Ron!
Yeah.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
a quick read. It's like 180 pages.
Okay, tonight I want you and Alyssa to watch The Secret on Netflix.
The movie, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will.
It's serious. It is.
Call to action.
It is life-changing. It changed my life. Seriously, that mindset through The Secret is really what.
Can you give me a sneak peek of what it is?
Go ahead, Kara. Go ahead.
I mean, it's the law of attraction. So it really tells you like what you put out, you put in, and the stories that are in the book are just like mind blowing. Like, so for example, there was this woman that was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she thought her way to health through visualization, and she visualized, I'm a healthy person. And it's really how you speak to yourself, and you have to talk about the things that you want and not the things that you don't want. If you talk about the things that you don't want, you will attract more of the things you don't want. So many people say things like, I have to work hard for everything that I have. Well, then you're going to continue to work hard for everything that you have. This shit is easy for me. Honestly, I show up, and I have so many universe stories I could tell you. Tom sitting behind me, and I point over here because that's where he is. But he sat behind me, and he was literally brought to me. I actually, before I even ever had this business in place, I said, I'm going to have an office at Linden Point someday. And I sit here now in my beautiful office here at Linden Point, and I just feel like those are the things that you put them out there and you work towards them. And if you truly believe that you can have those things, you really can. So, my CFO, this is just one other universe story, but my CFO, I knew that I needed to start raising capital, because if I was going to go to market, and at the time my go-to-market strategy was direct consumer, which has changed now for many reasons, but we still have a small piece of that, which is like what you'll see on social media and so on. But we know that that's not our
That's not
big
your
money
scalable
maker.
business.
So I knew I needed to raise money. So I was talking to the front desk lady here at the E-Center that morning, and I said, I really need a CFO. Do you know any? Because her husband's an accountant and whatever. And she's like, I don't, I'll let me ask Ron. I'll find out. And all right. I kid you not, that afternoon, she was giving a tour to my now CFO. She says, this is Janet. She is an independent CFO. And I was like, stop it. Like, I could not even believe it. And I actually then didn't need her. Actually, that was August of last year. I never even reached back out to her until November, but I kept her stuff and was like, I know that she was brought to me that day. So you ask for it. It's ask, believe, receive. So those are the 3 steps of the secret, Ron. Go watch it.
I will.
Yeah. No, it's a great, and it's a lot of self-talk.
Yeah.
I was just, and it's funny because none of this stuff is super mind-blowing. Like, I think it's already inhabited in people already. Like, you want to live positively. You want those type of people to do this. Like you met Ron in a crowd. He came in as a student. I had other friends that I thought that I could do this podcast with. And I'm calling him on my way to work. Just like you, I was like, oh man, I want to do something, because I was doing like little videos. It was, remember Conversation in the Camry?
Yeah.
So like, I'm just, I like
super dangerous, by the way. Like,
do not advise.
He got so much hate thrown at him. It was funny.
But it was just weird. It was like, hey, look, I want to have conversations. I want to put people out there in different spaces. And I was like, Ron, I kind of want to start this podcast like you. I have no idea how to do this. And then who do I get? 100, 250 mile per hour Ron over here. He's like, yeah, I'm in. And he was like, what's it called? And I was like, Straight Talk About Random Shit. And he was like, all right, we're good. He said, no, that's awesome. And the blah, 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 blah. And look at where we were just talking about how we're putting our stuff out there, where people are downloading, people are viewing. It's like this community starting to spread. Like, I had no idea. We got a damn green screen now.
Ron got some really nice headphones too.
I did.
Awesome.
But it's just like you're saying, like, and then it comes back to what we talked about on the show before. We are the company that we want to keep around. Right? So the people that aren't going to be good for you, that aren't going to be positive for you, they're not going to want to stick around. So you have to keep, like you said, you got to keep your eye on the prize and what you want to do, what kind of person you want to be. And then that's going to attract those people.
Let me ask you this, Kara. So whenever let's say you have some naysayers, maybe they're out there. How do you strategically or tactfully shed that fat, shed that weight, so you can continue that law of attraction, that positivity you want to push out there?
I mean, there's people out there that are negative all day long. I have some in my immediate family that are like, don't understand what I do necessarily. And that's not gonna, what, those aren't my people. And I know that. And so once you can identify that, like, you don't even let that energy into your circle anymore, I spray my aura spray here and just move on with my life. Because I mean, you really just have to be able to choose who you let into your energy, or who you give your energy to.
Right.
And
but what if they keep coming back? Like they just like they keep throwing negativity. They're quote unquote in your comments. They're like they're really going after you.
I don't know. I'm not affected by that. So I know that so many people are, but it just really doesn't affect me. I mean, I still, even to this day, get people, we're seeking capital, and we have people say, oh, you're not ready yet, and you're not this. And I'm like, they're missing the boat. They don't even get it. They don't see it yet. And that's okay. But it doesn't affect me.
Talk about believing in yourself though, too.
Yeah. I mean,
the ability to say, for somebody who is brand new into the capital world, trying to raise capital and being told no, that those initial no's are devastating. What was it like during that first meeting whenever you did get told no?
Well, I have some really awesome mentors, and that's another thing that as an entrepreneur, you really have to lean into those mentors. I actually just had a mentoring session yesterday, even with another, I guess a connection, and it was like, I don't know what this connection is going to lead to, but and I lean into those. And one of my very first mentors, actually, Ben Franklin Technology Partners, did tell me no, but they didn't tell me. But I don't take no as a no; I take it as a not yet. And so
Nice.
I kept working with them, and they kept working with me, thankfully. I mean, they have been mentors of mine since I was in idea phase. And so I just kept working and kept working. It was just not yet, not a no. So there's still those not yets out there, and that's okay. But so if you can look at a no like a not yet, or like an opportunity to, what do I have to do to
Get the yes?
Get the yes, then yeah.
You asked that question though, I assume.
Yeah.
Whenever you're approaching that like a not yet, this is how I go to it as well. Like whenever I lose a bid or something, it's like, well, what could I have done different? I mean, what questions do you ask? Are you seeking out those?
Yeah, we actually just 2 weeks ago got a no, and well, I said, so who's your ideal candidate? Because we are a growing tech company in Mercer County, which is weird to begin with, or unusual. I don't want to say weird, but there are not
it's not
any.
The norm. It's not the norm.
The norm to have a female tech entrepreneur here in Mercer County, Pennsylvania. So we got the no from an organization, and we were like, well, who's your target audience? And it was not us. And we were like, if we're not a match, it's like a marriage, if we're not a match for you, we don't want to be in your portfolio because you're not going to be able to serve us. So,
and you don't want to waste your time going after them again.
Right. Yeah.
If it really is not a fit. And that's what I'm talking. That's another part of why I was asking, how do you shed the fat? Is like, how do you strategically go after certain venture capitalists, I guess?
Yeah. Research and connections, your network. So I have just built an awesome network of people that have been able to connect me. And that was a whole other thing too. My whole network 3.5 years ago was realtors and lenders. So
you would have completely reinvent yourself.
I had to, yeah, and rebuild my circle. And that just came with showing up, doing the 5 o'clock coffee sessions at this organization or that one, and knowing that my husband's at home like, what the heck is she doing, or like, are you wasting your time or whatever. And I knew that I needed to build that network. That's the most important thing. People have been more important to my business than money. And I built my first 2 years of like building my foundation for my business with like $10,000. So, and just really bringing in the resources and the people that wanted to work with me. So
talk about a great story that you have to tell, that personal story that you can tell, just with your sister and missing the birth.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. Talk about pulling at the heartstrings.
I know. That story sells.
Kara.
I know. The story sells, but I think it's so relatable to not only just the birth, but if you have a family member that's chronically ill, you want to be able to be supportive to them, and not through social media and not through a text message, So we're creating this thing that is connecting families together in a different way.
it's more purposeful. Like
Mhm.
this, it's an app for this.
Yes.
It's not social media. It's an app for, grandpa who's in hospice, and we want to keep up to date, but we also live in California,
Mhm.
but we want to be supportive of the family in Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, and there's so many different ways that we can reskin it. The technology itself is pretty simplistic if you really break it down and think about it. But we can reskin this for hospice care, surgery, um,
Right.
you
Mm.
know,
where
old
do
folks'
you see
homes or
this?
whatever.
Where do you see this? Let's say near term, 2 years, long term,
Mhm.
10 years.
Yeah, so we have obviously a long-term plan, but within the next year and a half to 2 years, we see ourselves launching the OhanaLink Health. We have 2 other platforms that are coming up that are more long-term care and chronic illness, and really integrating ourselves with the healthcare systems. And you know, so I have an individual on my team that actually has a chronically ill sister and son, and she's the primary caregiver, and she's like, if I had this app that would have her medications listed in it and whatever, and all of those things for me to manage as a caregiver, and then to push out the information, because I don't want to repeat myself 500 times, yet on the other hand allow my sister to receive the love and support that she needs. um, that's what we're going to do. So we want to integrate ourselves more with the healthcare systems, and so maybe you show up with your medication list and have a QR code, and they can scan it into their systems, and instead of
Yeah.
having to go and repeat
Can I
yourself.
interrupt you real quick?
Yeah.
So we went to the doctor yesterday, and there was an elderly woman who walked in. Here, look at me inserting myself into the story. Just like
No,
I said, this is
I
what
love
people
it.
do.
Yeah.
So I have like so we're in the doctor's office. Elderly woman walks in. She sits down. The caregiver goes up and checks her in. Well, now they have to do new paperwork. So the caregiver goes over to the woman, and they sit there for 45 minutes. I would say it was 4 pages long.
Yeah.
If you just had that QR code, it doesn't matter what caregiver you have,
Yeah.
you have consistent information throughout. Is that
Right.
something that you think
Yeah.
about while you're doing these?
Yeah, definitely. We want to be able to integrate ourselves with the EHRs and electronic health records, and those systems themselves are just sort of getting, I don't want to say getting started, but they're still trying to figure it out too. So I think that we can come in and offer a solution that will simplify it a little bit for the end user at least. So that, and then also, we're talking about a time now with a pandemic where family and friends can't even go visit their loved ones in a nursing
Right.
home.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we want to be able to have the caregiver platform, so that the caregivers at the nursing home can give an update on grandma today, and it pushes it out to everybody. Now we realize that there's like some HIPAA stuff that we have to work around, but we actually have a prototype for that already in working with nursing homes and so on. So we see it so much more than, you're seeing the baby version right now, and it's our first version, and we have a lot of coming soon stuff going on in the app, but it is way bigger than just a person-to-person communication platform. We're looking at the different ways that we can simplify doctors that are reporting to a loved one after surgery. And one of my investors is actually a surgeon, and he said one of the most annoying things is I report to this person, this is what happened, and then our phones are ringing and we're trying to fill in the next person because this person didn't give them the right message. And then this person, he's like, do you know how much time I spend just repeating myself? And so we want to be able to, give them, whether it be a form that they fill out and it pushes it out to the person that's in charge of the waiting room, or whatnot. But so we're working on those prototypes now already, and we intend to release those within the next 18 months.
Yeah, no, I can totally see how this is all brand new. So like my wife will go get blood work, and they say, okay, go ahead, and now you can access your records and check the blood work instead of you calling in, and
Mm-hmm.
it's at your leisure, and they can update it whenever they want. They have these. So this is brand new.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great space that you're in right now, and I really see it like taking off because again, when you like that telephone game, like, hey, Ron has, I'm not putting anything, but Ron has cancer and he has pancreatic cancer, and then it waters down to, oh, he just has a cold.
Yeah.
Like you're not getting the consistent flow of information where
Yeah.
this is going to help improve that, right?
Yeah, so funny story related to that. My husband got hurt at work probably a year ago. And Ron, I don't even know if you were on the telephone game part of this, but he got stabbed in the artery in his stomach. Okay. And they're like, oh my God. So he just calls, he's calm. He's been bleeding for like 4 hours at work. And he's like, I think I should go to the ER. It's not stopping. I'm like, okay. So I go to Sharon Regional, this local hospital, and I'm like, I just need to give him a new t-shirt because he got blood all over it, and they're just going to take him back to work in the ambulance. Anyways, I can't take him. The lady was looking at me like I had 3 heads, and she was like, okay. Well, like 3 minutes later, he's like, it was an artery that I hit. So that's why she's looking at me like,
Like,
she
you
just
don't know
wants to
what
drop a
happened?
t-shirt off. So in the meantime,
Who is this girl?
in the meantime, I had called my dad and said, hey, Todd got hurt at work. They think he nicked an artery. They're not sure if they're going to transfer him or what's happening. Well, my dad calls my sister and says, it's not looking good. Not looking good for Todd. He like had him dead, basically. And I'm like, no, he's not dying. Like, he nicked an artery. So thank God. I mean, it was just it's not looking good. My sister's like, what's going on? And she calls me all freaking out. And I'm like, there's that telephone game, So I just experienced that myself. And I was like, I was actually I went back to the ER after that. So I did turn my car around and go back. But I was like, if there was just this thing on the wall that says, hey, create your mobile waiting room and invite your family, like I would have done that in 3 seconds and had everybody in the loop at the same time. So, yeah.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Well, yeah,
that's
interesting that what you just said right there. So that's kind of a strategy that you have is like there will be something in the waiting room where it says create your virtual waiting room here.
Yeah. Yeah. So our one of our strategies is to obviously capture the audience that the hospital already has the attention of. So they have the OBGYNs already have the attention of our audience, and our audience trusts them. So if they're saying, hey, use this app, because it's not only going to help the patient, we're confident in that, and it's not just about selling it, it's about helping our patients, but it's also going to help the OBGYNs in we can integrate some of their information to the app as well. We can link their website right to here with their resources. So it is just a great opportunity for them to get their hands on some technology that they're not in the business of technology. So let us take that on for you.
Yeah, the co-branding to me is really next level in throughout that app, because you can shop through it, you can create the registry, all those things just within one space. So it's a turnkey solution, right now for a baby arrival. What were those conversations like with the companies that you are partnered with, the affiliates? They completely bought in right out of the gate. Did you go through a round of entries? How'd that
they
work?
just vet you basically and make sure that what you're selling is in line with their missions, and then just allow you to basically sell for them. So you are vetted though, and we've actually received some declines basically based on our location and different tax scenarios and stuff. So that sort of puts a hindrance on some of our opportunity, but but really they just vet you.
So are you limited like insurances? Like we can't get Ohio-based companies coming over here to sell insurance. Is that right? So are you're not limited there. You don't have a boundary around
No. We have no boundaries, and as a matter of fact, my developers are in the Ukraine, and they obviously have been working on this with me for over 1.5 years, and they're like, we need this over here. So we're already looking at opportunity to expand there. We obviously want to get our market set here, but we will definitely be a worldwide thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, me and my company with Chris and I, like we've had people that we thought were in the mix with us, that they were on the team. And then through time, people have fell off or they've done some deceitful things like, and how do you deal with that? Has that happened to you in coming up?
Not yet. Like I was starting to say earlier, and I think I didn't elaborate, but I was a team of me in January,
Mm-hmm.
and now I have a team of 10. And we all have the same, it's crazy. And I could go back to the universe, but every day I ask for the right people to keep just coming into my life. And I believe that happened, and I have the right people. It's so crazy because we all sit down and we talk about the mission of our business, and it's so much bigger than OhanaLink Technologies. Our mission is to help other startups to pay it forward in many other ways. And everybody on this team seems to have that same goal, and if they don't, we're going to drill it into them, because you have to realize that the opportunities that are given to you aren't for you, but they're I believe given to you to do something bigger. So I
Well,
think if
good.
you
I
can
hope.
embrace that and pour
Yeah.
that down to my team.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you have 10, that's going to turn into 20, that's going to turn into
Yeah,
a lot.
we need more.
I
But
mean, those positive changers out there, we need more of those soldiers than the other side. So it's like, I love the entire culture that you're creating with that, just with your mentality, the ego set aside, with that leadership principles instilled with you. It's like, man, how do you not attract like-minded people when you're that strong-minded in that respect? So I applaud you
yeah.
for that.
Thank you. Yeah, our team is amazing. And I think one thing that, I was in corporate America for a long time, and I knew that I never wanted to run my business like I had to live for too long. And so, I have my graphic design and marketing girl. She wouldn't work. She wouldn't be working if we weren't she works from home. She has babies at home with her all day long. We don't care. She does amazing work. And she can work her hours if she wants to work from 2 till 10 o'clock at night, or from 9 till 11, and then 2 to 10, and then 2 in the morning till 5. We don't care, as long as you're getting your work done. So we have that going for us as well. And I think that family, or Ohana, is everything to us, through the app and in our culture here as well. So it's always first and foremost.
Yeah, I think that would come across pretty clear if those two did not align.
Yeah.
That you would not be able to keep people.
Yeah. I mean, our
Yeah.
people have the flexibility, and we embrace their families. And if their kid has something going on, you don't need permission to go. You go, and then you just get your work done. That's all we care about.
Like
So
that's morale boosting right there, and that's totally different from your typical 9 to 5. I honestly think that this is new. That like the old way of doing things is getting pretty archaic, but it's still it's new. Like this is having
That work arrangement is certainly new.
yeah, having pride in the people that work with you, and
yeah.
and showing some empathy. And like Gary Vee talks about all the time, he was like, oh, just take a chance. You don't like him, hey, look, go. Like, all right, see ya. And this is not working. But you put a little more, just like that mission that you have for what your app's going to be, or what your company is doing. You're putting that into your coworkers and the people that are under you. So you're becoming that leader to create new leaders, because this is probably going to branch off to a bunch of different things.
Yeah, trust goes a long way. When you trust your employees, and just they don't need to check in with me at 9 a.m. I'm not tracking them on their phone. I don't. It's
You hold yourself to such a high standard that people know the standard.
yeah.
So if you're allowing them, you trust them enough to do their job. The numbers look good. So the more you trust them and the more flexibility they have. I just posted an article about this yesterday on LinkedIn. It was like that empathic ear that you have for your team goes so far, because not only can you take care of your kids and do that without work looming over your head, you can also work because you know your family's taken care of.
Right.
Like the people that you're doing the work, not doing the work for, but they're benefiting, but from the paycheck and everything that you're providing, is like, duh.
Yeah. I just think also if you're not willing to offer that, if you're not willing to offer that kind of flexibility and environment for your employees, then you're not going to attract the right people either. Like I wouldn't have Ashley, like I said, if I wasn't willing to say, hey, you can work from wherever, whenever, and she is, when I tell you top notch, I like, it's scary to think that if we didn't offer her those kinds of things that we wouldn't have her. So,
No, that's great. It's really great. You do end up, because you don't eliminate anybody from the pool then.
Right.
If you want to come in office, you come in office. You want to stay at home, you can stay at home. We just want the right person.
Yeah, she's a talented person and she's a mom that wants to be with her babies, and I respect that. That's first and foremost. So
yeah, you can have two simultaneous goals going on at the same time, despite popular belief.
Yeah. Yeah, and you could be extremely productive with your babies sitting on your lap. So
yeah, and I mean, my wife was in the same boat. I mean, she's a nurse, and she had to leave her job because she wanted to be at home and raise our children. And granted, like she's starting to get this itch because she's like, hey, all right, now I want to do something, but I still want to know that my children are safe. I still want to know that they're getting good values and morals and things that I can only instill, because that's what I want my children to be. I'm not going to give them to somebody else.
Yeah.
Allow them to instill their own, because I don't know what those are. You know, that she had to leave work in order to do so.
Right.
But and you're right there, like saying, I don't care about, like, it's your merit, it's your work ethic. And I think people will take that and be like, you know what, I want to work harder for her because she's allowing me to do that.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. You'll get way more quality production out of a trusted,
nobody wants micromanaged.
No.
Oh, it's horrible.
I would beg to differ. I think some people love being told what to do, when to do it, because then they have no accountability for it and they don't have to own the decision. I think
you're right, Ron. I mean, maybe that's just a different personality that I can't even fathom.
It's not the culture you have.
Right.
So you don't see that. But those people exist, and they are very difficult to ask them to take to the next level. People who have accountability, have the ability to make their own decisions and create and own that work, will love that work until forever.
Yeah, I think we can relate that to Holden, our stepson. Like Holden needs that structure, and he, I think, embraces that and likes to have that, the structure and someone telling him, I don't know about someone telling him what to do, if that sounds right, but.
Yeah. That's why, like, there's 10 steps to get great abs, or 4 steps to get a better job. We love step-by-step processes.
Yeah.
As a thing to do. That's why I'm sure you get asked, how do you start? What do you do?
That actually, I get inbox that all the time. I have this great idea, but I don't know what to do. And I'm like, just start. Just start. It's literally like step by step. And I think about it, because if I had known day one that you're going to be developing this app and you're going to be managing a team of 10 and you're going to be working with developers in the Ukraine, I would have quit that day. I wouldn't have been ready, to even mentally, handle that.
I want to dig in on this. So that's something that I've thought about from the beginning of my selling career, is you always want that big account. You always want the biggest account, because that's what you strive for. But you're not ready until you go through the ranks to have that big account.
Yeah.
It's just, and Gary Vee talks about it. I've heard it from 1,000 other people. Is the patience to endure that process, to build your toolbox to the point that you can walk up to that door and say, I'm ready.
I'm ready. Yeah. There's no shortcut. There's no
There's no
shortcut. There's no
Just
shortcut.
like martial arts,
Yes,
you walk in,
exactly.
you're a white belt, and you got to go through these different levels.
Mhm.
And then just like you've attributed, some of the foundations that you had as you were younger,
Oh
making
yeah.
to a third degree. Now, look, all right, I have that toolbox of things,
Mhm.
and I'm able to pass that on to you. And everything every step of the way from you being a young person all the way up to you being adult and now overseeing freaking people that are
Mhm.
in the Ukraine and you got 10 people under you just relying on you,
And it's
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
they're high achieving people too.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
this.
I mean, my CTO worked for Motorola and Apple and was verbally assaulted by Steve Jobs several times. No, but I mean, I have people that have
That's your team.
credentials, yeah. So I have amazing
Yeah.
people on this team. And if had you told me that 3 years ago, I would have been like,
How
oh
intimidating.
no, I'm not ready for that. Or, and I think that um, the building of the network and going through all of the ringer is so necessary. Someone could have given me $500,000 day one and said, here, go build your app, go build your business. And I would have failed miserably because you really have to go through all of it.
Yeah.
all,
You have
all
to
the
work in
all the
there.
no's, all of those things build your character and build your business. And I think that you can't be given people. You have to go out and find them and connect with them. And like I said, that was more valuable to me than the money. Was those connections along the way. They built my business, and there would have been no fast forward on that.
So the people skills too, like to build those relationships.
Hmm.
How long were you, have you always interfaced, have you always been in like a retail type setting, face-to-face contact in most of your jobs?
Yeah, in most of my jobs, yes, but I am not a conversation starter. I mean, when I first started going to those like open coffees, I was like, and I would just like sort of stand in the background and, not connect at all. But I was there. I was present.
That's important. You got to keep showing up,
I
right?
was there, and then you get to see the same faces over and over again. And actually, I entered a contest here at the E Center. This is how it kind of all kicked off for me. Was that I entered a contest here. I won second place, which gave me the opportunity to be involved in their accelerator program here. So I was able to sort of be pushed into that network, right? But I still had to do the showing up. We would show up and they'd say, okay, today you're going to do your 5-minute pitch. And you'd be like, oh, okay. And then the next day they're like, okay, we're doing your 30-second pitch today. So they really just put you through that ringer of
Mhm.
what it's like to build your business and bring in people and build your
Yeah.
network and get uncomfortable. Oh my gosh, it was so uncomfortable. And
Hey,
so
a question: do you have a hype man on your team now? Do you have that starter, that conversation starter?
I mean, it's me now.
Yeah. Okay. So you've morphed into that.
Yeah, you have just grown into that, and that's why I think it takes the growth and it takes the showing up and falling on your face,
Yeah.
because without that you don't have growth, and that growth then leads you into the leader. And it's the same thing back to martial arts. You show up as a white belt and you're timid and don't have that confidence just yet. But when you're a black belt, Brielle showing up for her second degree yesterday, that girl was kick ass on the video. I saw her video and I was like, she is, I adore her so much. But her confidence and those things that you get when you're at that rank, I think it's just
Yeah.
you just grow as a person. And
It's been great to see B. I remember B coming in as a white belt,
Yeah.
and white belt. Honestly, that was the hardest freaking rank. I swear.
yeah,
But it's all brand new, and me, like, I started it when I was 37 years old.
yeah,
Like, I'm like, oh, here I am with a bunch of little kids that can just like snatch me from, you know, and
yeah,
you just go on. And so why I said that, with our company, I'm the hype man, right? So,
yeah,
and Chris, he's he's the foundation guy. He's like, hey, look, this is what we got, and he's like, all right, Aaron, go make it happen,
hmm
And I'm like, all right, I don't know how that, but I fell on my face. I
Yeah.
grew up not talking to anybody because I had a horrible stutter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I used to have seizures. I was an epileptic. I didn't want to talk to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then now you can't shut me up. So it's like I've grown through those barriers and through those things of being those like, why are you even talking? And now you can't shut me up. So
Yeah,
because of that, because I kept showing up, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to do it, you
that's
know?
right.
And I'm sure now you're that person, because every day you was just like, hey, look, nobody's gonna do it but me. And
Mm-hmm.
then now you got this team that's like, hey, we're all relying on you. So
Yeah. Yeah, I rely on them probably more than they rely on me. But yeah, I think as a leader, if you can realize that your team is more important than you are, I don't know, got a good thing going for you, because I got some smart people here.
you
It
don't
makes
want to
you
be the
look good.
smartest. You don't want to be the
Definitely
smartest.
don't. No.
No.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah.
No, that's important too. You know, whenever you're talking about, because a lot of things, one of the things I think that holds people back is just not feeling comfortable in front of other people.
Mm-hmm.
They are timid with that public speaking, and being told no or being shut down or rejection.
Yeah.
Those are very uncomfortable feelings to have, and I'm the way that you went through that, and the way that the um, Ben Franklin Foundation, is that who it was?
Yeah. Ben Franklin Technology Partners. Mm-hmm.
Technology Partners. The way that they approached it is very similar to, there's another company out there that teaches public speaking and
Mm-hmm.
does the exact same thing, where they will have you come up on stage for 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're just up there for 10 seconds, and then you go sit back down. And they continuously ease you into it,
Yeah.
until you have your 5-minute pitch.
Yeah. That's
So
awesome.
it's like couch to 5K for public speaking.
Oh, wow. My
Yeah.
mom's actually was actually a public speaking professor,
No kidding.
and I still hate public speaking.
It's
I mean, it's still not comfortable,
Yeah.
but do it anyway, you know.
essential.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once you get going, it's okay. Do you
Yeah.
practice, like if you were going in front of a big audience, do you practice those presentations beforehand? Or you
Um,
do them so many times
not anymore. I mean, I know the story better than anybody.
Mhm.
And so that's really what I tell myself is, this is your story. So what do you need to practice? I mean, there's bullet points that I guess I run through in my head, but
Yeah.
other than that, no, I don't. Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah, because you never know where the conversation is gonna go, especially
Yeah.
if you do like a live Q&A, like you just
Or a podcast like
a
this.
podcast.
Very
You just
every
don't know. But
um, so here's my thing. I'm super geeked out to that you're doing this, and things have been going so well for you because you've been at it for so long, and I know that you're not going to stop. And that's why I'm really excited for you and your team at OhanaLink Technology. Is like this thing's going to pop off, and it's going to be really cool to watch that progress into this really large global entity, because that's where you're headed.
mm-hmm.
I mean, the writing is all over the place.
Yeah.
You have a scalable idea through those larger entities, and now that you've branched out into so many different avenues of the hospital business,
Mm-hmm.
and the backbone story is just something that you can drool over. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah.
So and then to put it on top, you have you as the CEO, holding yourself to that high standards, attracting team members that just have just such high caliber.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you lose?
I don't know. I mean, my team, I cannot even. Some days I'm like, how did I deserve them? Because, my chief marketing officer is the director of marketing at a hospital. Can't say which one right now, but like,
Yeah,
how do you get that lucky?
yeah.
I
You
don't
can't write
know.
that script.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, she is my audience. She's writing the script for our sales for her, to her. So it doesn't get any better than that. So yeah, my team, I
That's
could just
absolutely
go on and on and on.
I can't wait to have this conversation 10 years ago on like a stage in front of like 1,000 people.
Yeah.
And be
Yeah.
like, hey, just invite us. Invite us when you get big and you're like in the UK. Be like, hey, look, these were day oneers with us. You know, like we're
Yes.
just like, hey, come on in. Let's just do a Stars Podcast England right now.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, hopefully we'll exit by then within 10 years. That's the goal.
Yeah.
But
the goal then?
yeah, I think that needs to be everybody, every goal in a tech business, or I mean, because there's always going to be someone bigger out there. But actually, I think we also have our eye on some that we want to gobble up too along the way. So I think an exit is definitely somewhere in our future. I don't know when exactly. We have a lot of work to do, but we're ready to do it. So
it's awesome.
Mhm.
Do you have anything else?
No, like I said, I can't wait to see this project with you, and you know, I'm gonna follow you.
I'm hyped up.
Yeah.
Once I saw the app and everything that was inside of it, it's a simple to use app, but it is packed with information, and all types of different. I won't get into what it is. Go download it. It's everywhere, correct? On all.
Yeah, it's on Google Play and iOS.
Actually,
Yeah.
you know what? Let's just go there. Where can they find more about OhanaLink Technologies? Shoot out some links and information. So,
Okay. Yeah, you can go to ohanalink.tech, and then you can go to Baby in the corner tab, and get more information on OhanaLink Baby, and you can download it at Google Play or iOS App Store. But we are actually going to be integrating a walkthrough in the app, or a demo. So, if you haven't been invited to a waiting room or you haven't created a waiting room yet, you'll be able to see what's going on in the app without actually being a part of one yet. So we're excited for that to come within the next couple weeks here. And we can touch base really quickly on one thing that's in the Baby app that I'd really like to highlight, because so many people assume this is like another group thing, like a group me or something like that, and we're totally different in that we're creating this experience, and we capture the bump dates, we capture the doctor visit updates, we capture all of this stuff. And one thing that we're going to be doing here soon, it's coming soon in the app, is a memory album, and we're actually able to export everything that's happened in the app and download that into a hard copy book for you.
Wow.
So you can have this journey of what your pregnancy was like, and capture the bump dates, capture the e-cards that your family sends you along the way. We have something else really cool coming that I don't really want to get into just yet, because we have some intellectual property going on around it. But all of these things that you'll be able to export and capture of memories from your loved ones, memories from your pregnancy, and have that as a keepsake forever. I had kids 11 and 15 years ago, and I don't remember what that journey was really like. It's so far gone. And so to be able to capture this in a memory album or keepsake is something that we're super excited about.
Yeah, that's cool. So like this is an old way of doing things, like what you're actually talking about, because I remember my mother, she had that book, like there was a piece of my hair from my first haircut.
Yeah.
There was, it's kind of ugly now, but the piece of the umbilical cord was in there. And that's an old way of thinking. It was a different time back then, and books photo albums were a thing. So like you reaching that and touching that, you're gonna recreate. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that captures the journey, and then through the pregnancy, through the delivery, and then we'll have some opportunity to share milestones as well after the baby's born. So
nice.
So.
That's great.
I love it. I can't wait.
Yeah.
See more about it. All right, awesome. Well,
All
thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks,
best
guys.
of luck to you, and let's make this not the last time we do this. Okay.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Talk to you later.
Out there, enjoy the journey.
So the journey has begun. If you guys listening to our content today had any kind of value, or you were moved in any way, please feel free to subscribe, pass it on. Let everybody know that these two guys are the truth. They're out here just trying to do good things to make good people. Thanks.